Busy Bee, you mentioned him many times, and he's of course, a charismatic guy. So for you, as you got to know him,
Yeah.
and as you guys worked on the film, because you have what made him the guy more than some of the Fantastic or the Cold Crush that ended up being a integral character, would you say?
Right. He was funny. He was empathetic to the max. He was wherever he went, he drew people to him, and he was easy and fun and outgoing. And I mean, there were people that I considered for his role as much as him, but it wasn't close. And so in a sense, he was the first person that I met, but he's the one that became the thing in the
Yeah.
movie.
What I'd gone to see Houdini in the mid to late '90s in Baltimore because I'm from Maryland,
Sure.
and I was just walking down the street and I saw Busy Bee. I didn't know he lived there, so I just went up to him. I said, "Are you Busy Bee?" He's like, "Yes, I am." I was like, "Yo, what are you doing in Baltimore?" He's like, "Oh, I live here, man."
And we shot film. We shot lots of film there. We did lots of wild style events in Baltimore. And I shot something called Busy on the Beach in Baltimore, where Busy's walking down the street, and we shot it from the back of a station wagon, so that the station wagon was the dolly. So it was a beautiful shot. And he's just walking down, and we're talking about the meanest part of Baltimore, where they shot The Wire and all that. And it was like those marble steps and guys with big piles of cash, and they were throwing dice. Those are the guys that are the drug dealers, and there's girls pushing babies, and there's a cop car like down the street watching everybody. And that's exactly what we shot.
Sounds like Baltimore when I was growing up, for sure.
Yes, yes.
And you were
so busy. There were people like Busy, and I mentioned also that Grandmaster Caz was someone that I developed a friendship with and had a lot of respect for, and that he became very important to helping me to imagine that I could do that basketball scene. And we've talked about him, and Grand Wizzard Theodore was someone who I worked with while I was making the movie. I brought him in and I showed him scenes, and I had him scratch mix the record in the editing room. And in a way, it was kind of like, if we were playing like we were Hitchcock or something, having the musicians come in and play, watching the movie. And so he scratch mixed all that stuff that's used in the movie, in the editing room.
That's incredible.
And I've worked with him on lots of things. Like I did a slideshow with Grand Wizzard Theodore, and we're talking about doing a lot of things coming up.
Nice. So as this is making me think about a few things, so I'll skip to this question. So
Okay.
in the mid or the late 80s, early 90s, really, when the house parties, New Jack Cities, all those type of quote unquote rap films started coming out, what did you have opportunities to do those? Were you not interested? Were you just doing other stuff? Like, why?
I have this experience that I'll tell you, that like in 1985 or 86, I was like, God, I can't believe it. Why aren't people asking me to do a music video? Not a full-length film like House Party, but just a music video. So I went to visit a record store, and I mean, not a record company, and I don't remember which one it was, I'm sorry to say, but I walked in and they were all like, Charlie Ahearn, dude, Charlie Ahearn's here. He's the guy that made Wild Style. And they're all like, yeah, that's amazing. I like that movie. That's great. really, but they acted like I was some old person that was so like from a long time ago. You see where I'm going?
Yes.
They acted like what I did was interesting, but it was done a long time ago. And now they're doing this. Not like, we got to get you into this because you could help bring that to what we're doing. So I didn't really receive a lot of jobs from that. Let's put it that way.
Which is very odd because I know.
I know that Fred got work doing music videos, but you have to remember that he was working on Yo MTV. And that was a very, very powerful position for him to work from. You know, people could easily see, well, if he directs the music video, then. But Fred was a really good director. I don't mean to, I love the things like he did one. He did all these great music videos that I love.
Yes, he did. He did several, but
like the KRS-One video.
Oh, the My Philosophy?
Yes, My Philosophy, which he used as he used a slideshow in it, which was exactly what I was doing in the Bronx.
Well, what about because even by the 85 time, hadn't you done because Whipper Whip and some of the other people have told me over the years that you guys were doing a lot of international promotion for Wild Style on a regular basis.
Well, we went to Japan. I don't know about international promotion on a regular basis. That would sound like we were touring, which was a great idea. And we did tour in Japan. That was our biggest moment, the first moment. We all went to Japan with 36 people, and Busy Bee was there, and all the Cold Crush was there, and the Rocksteady crew, and Dondi and Futura and Fred and Lady Pink.
Wow.
It was wild.
So what, was that your first time traveling internationally?
It wasn't my first time. It was the first time that almost any of them had been outside of New York.
Let alone international.
Really.
So what, making this independent feature, what was the experience of going overseas for work?
Well, it made, well, going to Japan was really important for a lot of people. Of course, Futura developed a lot of things in Japan that were very important to his career. But I wouldn't say that Cold Crush had a way to really make something of it because they didn't have a record out that was really doing anything. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's funny you say that because I was always curious, and nobody really did this until arguably, off the top of my head, I think about some of the Davey D stuff on Davey's Ride, but none of the artists really released their performances or routines as records.
Yes.
That to me, because
it would have made the sense with the Cold Crush, definitely.
Absolutely.
But it's difficult because frankly, if you do that, you've got to clear the music that they're performing with and all of that, and people weren't sure how to do all that. So it totally makes sense for KRS-One to do that because he's such a great live musician.
Well, he had the live hardcore hip hop worldwide album where he
it's great.
Yeah, that was a great album, and I don't know, but I believe if I remember correctly, that was the first live album I remember hearing or having, and that was on Jive. So I mean, that was a major release at the time.
Sure. I mean, you could consider Wild Style a live album.
Yes, I would agree with that. And to your point, though, that the soundtrack has been sampled and used so many different times.
It has been.
No,
amazing.
Yeah,
it's so amazing how many times it's been sampled, and it doesn't stop.
So how
sometimes people ask permission. I won't say any more about that.
I was gonna say, are you involved in the clearance when they do ask or no?
Oh, of course.
Okay,
There is no one else for them to talk to.
okay, good.
It's one-stop shopping.
Well, I always think it's amazing every time I listen to Illmatic when it has it as the intro to the album.
It is amazing.
And it really sets
Because
this,
that is, every song on that album is so good.
and it really
But yes,
it
they
set,
begin it with they begin it, yes.
and it leads right into New York State of Mind, which, you know, is a homage, I think, to Wild Style in general. So
Yes, gold. It's gold, the whole thing.
yes, and you also mentioned Jamal Shabazz. So since you have this street photographer film that you know, produced and directed with him as well, and edited among many other things on the film,
Yes.
what being that you had been around that the scene for so long, what made the 2013 2012 era the time for you to do that movie?
Well, the thing is I was very conscious of his first book when it came out. I went to the opening book party, got the book, had him sign it. I became his friend. I saw him while he was doing his thing, and we became friends. And then we started talking about making movie together very soon, like we were making the movie in 2012. And it took me like 10 years to finally get it made and released.
Wow.
Because I was trying to work with him in a certain way. He was very hypersensitive about how he was representing things, and he was shy about being on camera. And he didn't want me to go to Rikers Island where he was working. You know, he was working as a corrections officer during that whole time. And that was something that I thought was really a key to talking about in the movie. But at first he was very shy about really getting into it. So I was moving into it slowly.
Yeah, I can imagine the reticence being there.
Yes.
So now with Grand Wizzard Theodore and some of the other things, what else are you working on the rap front nowadays?
Well, I am, in terms of music, I don't have a hip hop musical project at the moment. I have done some things, like I shot the Subway film, which is called it's called Dancing Industry, and it's with the So-So Glows, and it's live. The entire music, the entire music video is shot in a single take on the subway. So it's one of the things I'm most proud about, because it shows how to. It's kind of like the lineup of the basketball scene. It's like you wouldn't want to edit that. It either works or it doesn't. So
Yeah.
that's how I felt. So I shot this thing on the subway 9 times. I guess that's my lucky number, because that's how we actually finished the song, which was 3 minutes long. We completed the song, and when it was complete, I said, okay, now we go. And it's unbelievable. It's so wild. And people can't believe that such things take place. People should look it up. It's called Dancing Industry with the So-So Glows. And it's literally subway dancing throughout that's what it's about, is people are dancing and flipping in the subway car while the music is going. It's really fun.
And since you've been making film for so long, we have the loss of innocence, or the commercialization of hip hop culture, and then we also have in film, we have the exponential turnover of technology that kind of has like with music, made it so easy for anyone to make a movie.
Yes. In a sense, anyone could make their own wild style movie themselves with their phones.
Right. So
and it might be the best way to do it.
So what are
no promotions and just shoot something and make it as live as possible. One could say that it's continually being done if you just go to your phone and look stuff up. People are always showing things that they've done. And I think some of what I see on my phone is amazing.
So what would you say are the pros and cons of that evolution of cinematography and of filmmaking?
Well, the thing is, you have to understand that when I made Wild Style, there was no MTV, there was no transference of culture from one area to the other. It was, and literally when I started to show someone in the Caribbean bought a 35 millimeter print of Wild Style, and he literally would take his boat and go from island to island with that 35 millimeter print and go to Jamaica and show it in Kingston and Jamaica, and then go to Trinidad, Port-au-Prince and Trinidad. And I went to Trinidad, and when I was there, I couldn't believe it because I went downtown. I was there during I was there for the what is it called? Carnival, yeah. And I went downtown, and there was like someone had sprayed Wild Style is Sick all over the buildings downtown in Port-au-Prince. And then I went on a ride in a bus to go across to the island to go to a beach, and there was this place like a shack that someone had, and he had painted Wild Style impressions all over the building that was so beautiful. And he was a fan of the movie and seen it, but it's not like it was in a magazine. He had to go downtown and see it in the movie and then come home and make all these paintings on this shack. So I'm just saying that the transference of culture was hard won in those days. And then of course MTV, with Yo MTV, it really sped things up and made stars of a lot of people, and of course of Fab Five Freddy himself.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people who might not have made it if they had to be doing it in their neighborhood could make a video that really attracted a lot of attention. And so, well, what more can I say? To go from that to discussing the whole history of the cell phone and how that's changed culture is too much for me right now.
Understood.
I'm going to beg off.
Understood.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV back with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.